Hello my friends and fellow travelers, and welcome back to another travel guide here on Tales from the Road. It's been a minute since I made a good travel guide. I've been focusing on other projects, mostly cooking, but I still love to travel and tell people how to do it properly. And I figured why not get back into the swing of things with a video about a city I just lived in for 3 months and one of my favorite cities in the whole world, Bangkok, Thailand. A lot of people are pretty negative on Bangkok. It's like either you love it or you hate it. It's a stopover place for many people visiting Thailand. You fly into Suvarnabhumi, the main airport, and then you go north to the mountains, to the jungle, to the elephants. You go to the south, you go to the beaches, but I think Bangkok is an impressive and great city with so much to do. It's got that real big city vibe. It's got cultural activities, tons of museums, it's got tons of nightlife and just city life, mall kind of stuff in general, and it's just got interesting things down every alley. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know before you go to Bangkok. So make sure to stick around to the end because I really jam-packed these videos with all the information I've accumulated through my almost 10 years abroad now. That being said, let's talk about Bangkok, Thailand. As we always do with these videos, let's talk a little geographical and historic background so we get to know Bangkok a little bit better before we go. So first up, where is Bangkok on the map? They say Bangkok is in the central part of Thailand, sitting on the Gulf of Thailand because Thailand has this long peninsula which counts as the south along with the islands. While Bangkok is basically on the Gulf of Thailand, it is certainly not a beach destination, and I would consider it more like a river city because that's really the character of Bangkok itself. Oddly enough, being a capital city of about 15 million people registered and probably like 20 million people if you added all the people from the villages who end up in Bangkok, historically it was never really the most important city. A lot of the ancient Thai things that you'll see are connected to the kingdoms of Sukhothai or to Ayutthaya. Both of those cities are basically ancient relics of ancient Siam. Basically, you can think there was lots of wars in Southeast Asia. The Burmese, you can think of modern-day Myanmar, were always at war with ancient Siam. And in the mid-1700s, they had a very strong invasion and they destroyed the capital city, Ayutthaya, which is about 40 minutes north of modern-day Bangkok. Obviously, the kingdom had to shift because their capital city was in ruins. They moved south along the river, and that's how Bangkok, also called Krung Thep in the past, was established. Since then, sitting on the Chao Phraya River, this city of Bangkok slowly started to expand as a very important trading hub in Southeast Asia, and then in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, they went through rapid modernization, becoming the mega city that we know and love today. Bangkok today is the heartbeat of Thailand. It's where the majority of the investment in the country is centered, where the financial sector is, where the innovation is, and more importantly, it's becoming a huge tourism hub for travel around Southeast Asia, as well as Thailand itself. So I hope that information gives you a little relevant info about Bangkok, but let's talk about the more important stuff, the practical information that you need to know for a trip to Bangkok. Okay, so first up, let's talk about visas. And I'm going to put this in 2 buckets, so you can decide who you want, and if you're in bucket 2, stick around. If you're in bucket 1, maybe you can just skip past this. If you're in bucket 1, you're just a normal tourist coming to Thailand, and the question is, how long can I stay without having a visa? The short answer is you can stay 60 days in Thailand without having a visa, and if you want to stay longer, you can actually go to the immigration office. You can renew that visa for 30 days by paying about $80 US. You actually have to physically stand in a line, give them your passport, give them more information. If you wanted to extend the length of your trip in Thailand, if you want to go somewhere after Bangkok. When it comes to bucket 2, there's a lot of people who are not just 15-day, 20-day tourists who come to Bangkok. A lot of people are digital nomads, people who work online, sort of like me. And a lot of people like Thailand because it's very chill, Bangkok is a great city to live in, and the cost of living is low. And I think people have been abusing this quite a bit over the last decade or so. So there's always been talk about how long the visa period should be applicable for visa-free entry. And the weird part about Thailand is they don't have a 90-day in, 90-day out thing that a lot of other countries have. So people go on what they call visa runs. A visa run is basically like my 60 days is up, I go to Cambodia, I go to Malaysia for a couple days, or maybe just the day, and then I come directly back into Thailand. Thailand has cracked down on this a lot because they are happy to have tourists, they just don't want you living there. And so it's really up to the discretion of the customs officer as to if they're satisfied with how long you've been outside of Thailand. I was staying for 60 days, I stayed like 55 days, and then I went to Singapore for a project. And then I actually was planning on renewing my visa and going to Vietnam the following month. So I just figured I could just go out and come back in without getting the extension, because if you leave, the extension is invalid. And when I came back into Thailand from Singapore, the lady at the airport, the customs agent, was not super stoked that I was back, but she saw that I did have a ticket that was going to Vietnam marked for the next 30 days, so I think she was okay with it, but she asked me point blank, why are you coming back so soon? There's also been a lot of news around changing the 60-day visa-free thing back to 30 days, how it used to be in the past. So in general, if you're just a normal tourist, 30 days, 60 days, you're fine. If you're doing the digital nomad thing, in and out, if you're thinking about using Bangkok as a base for travel while you're in Southeast Asia, something to consider. Okay, so next up is money. In Thailand, they use the Thai Baht, and it's always around 30 Thai Baht to $1 US. If you're going to Thailand and you want to bring cash and exchange it, you can always do that, but Thailand has a robust system of ATMs and banks that you could, of course, withdraw money in. If you have Visa, MasterCard, credit card, whatever you got, maybe a debit card, you can definitely withdraw money in Thailand. I do have to say that the withdrawal fee in Thailand is pretty expensive. Normally it's 220 baht, so about $7 every time you withdraw money from an ATM. So if you're going to do it a couple times, if you're going to pay in cash, because not everywhere takes card depending on what you're doing, it can sort of add up, which is pretty annoying. There's not really a way to avoid this, so just be aware that the 220 thing is pretty normal, and there's very few banks, if any banks, that don't have that fee for foreign cards. I would always recommend walking around with cash in Bangkok. If you're buying something off the street, if you're buying something that's less than maybe like 100 baht or 200 baht, they're honestly not going to take your card because the transaction fee is too high for them, or they don't offer it. So if you're looking to pay properly in Bangkok, cash is good, and then for the bigger things, of course, you can use your card. So, transportation. Bangkok is a beast. It's a massive city. It's so dense and big and sprawling, and it's just the beast of a city. You can kind of think like the New York of Southeast Asia. It's exactly like that. Starting off with airports, you got two choices. You have Suvarnabhumi, which is the big international airport. It's about 40 to 50 minutes from the city. A taxi should cost around 500 baht, so about $15 maybe. And the good news is that you can take Grab Taxi, which is their version of Uber, from the airport to the city center. If you go with the normal taxis that they have at the airport, they're probably going to rip you off. It's going to be around 800, 900, 1,000 baht, which could be anywhere from $20 to $30, depending on what you think is normal or what's okay for you. Of course, you can take the taxis there. It's up to you, but I would recommend downloading Grab Taxi before you get to Bangkok, before you get to Thailand in general, just because you're going to use it regardless to get around the city. They also have something called Bolt. It's another, you can think Uber, Lyft, Grab, and Bolt. Bolt is a little bit cheaper, but Bolt also doesn't vet their drivers as well, so you can do that. So you can take that information as you will. I typically use Grab. I also used Bolt. I didn't necessarily see such a difference in the driver quality. I just noticed the car quality on Bolt was a little bit lower because I think the standards are just lower. So, but the price is lower, so it really depends on you. The other airport, Don Mueang, is more of a domestic, if you wanted to call it that, airport, but also like a regional airport. If you're flying internationally, like from Paris, from Dubai, from Los Angeles, then you're going to go to Suvarnabhumi. If you're flying more locally, like Malaysia, Vietnam, maybe Myanmar, you might have a flight from Don Mueang. That's also where a lot of the domestic airlines are. So if you're flying to Chiang Mai, if you're flying to Koh Samui in the south, you're probably going to go from there. And that's in the northern part of the city, about 40 minutes from the city center. So once you're in Bangkok, getting around the city is convenient, but also chaotic. And I saw that in an article, and I thought that was the perfect way to explain it. There's a actually pretty robust public transportation system that you can use. There's a subway. There's also a Skytrain system. They call it the MRT and the BTS. They don't necessarily connect, but they do intersect sometimes. And so you can go from the Skytrain, which is like a monorail, down to the subway, which is clearly like a subway. You can get around the city pretty well. The stops are kind of distant, but I think all the places you would logically go to are pretty well connected by either one of those two, except the old city of Thailand, where you find a lot of the major historical sites like the Grand Palace. Bangkok also has buses. We tried a couple buses when we were there. It's just like they don't have any timetable, so if you want to wait for it or hope for it, it'll probably show up at some point, but super inconsistent. The traffic in Bangkok, if you want to take taxis, which are pretty cheap compared to foreign standards, it's just like the traffic is horrendous in Bangkok. It's just bumper to bumper. There's really no place where you're going to be able to execute a quality taxi travel without spending like between 40 minutes and 2 hours in a taxi. If you're like going from anywhere in the city center to anywhere else in the city center, the taxi is a terrible choice, especially early in the morning, you know, rush hour time, and then between like 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. when the Thais are kind of like getting home. Horrendous traffic, don't do it. I always recommend to order a motorbike taxi if you're by yourself, if you're younger, if you're willing to do that. That's always a better way because the motorbikes, they can weave through the traffic and it leaves you in a better position. You can get probably the same distance on a motorbike in like 20 minutes than you could do on a taxi in about an hour. So the BTS is good. Taxis are kind of whatever. It just depends on your comfort level, your walking level. It's also ridiculously hot in Bangkok most of the time, so walking sucks, and taking the motorbike can also be hot and uncomfortable, and also kind of dangerous. So it really depends on your level of how you want to transport yourself through the city. People like to take tuk-tuks. Tuk-tuks are those little like rickshaw things. It's like basically a motorbike with a bench in the back. Unfortunately, they're not on the apps, so if you want to take a tuk-tuk for a touristy reason, you could. Those guys are just scammers at a certain point. They're going to overcharge you maybe $5 every time you ride just because they're touristy and everybody knows this. So if that's what you want to do on a night out, go for it, but always a bad deal. Grab is always a better deal. So I would say that Bangkok is an intermediate level traveler city. If you don't travel a lot, it can be really overwhelming and quite challenging. If you do travel a lot, it's pretty normal in a lot of senses, and it has a lot of help built into it for foreigners. Number one is that the Thais, they don't use the Western alphabet system. So they don't use Latin script. So they have their own script. So on a trip to Bangkok, you're not gonna be able to read anything. That being said, the Thais know this. In most restaurants and most places that have a lot of foreigners, they'll have English subtitles so you can read and understand what you're doing, what you're buying. And they use a lot of pictures. They leverage the pictures. So if you go to a restaurant, most Thai people honestly don't really speak English. Some of the younger people do, pretty basic. The middle-aged people, the older people, they really don't. You'd be surprised on how little English is spoken, especially outside of the very, very city center. So a lot of the time the food will just have a picture and you can just point to the picture. I think that's a good way to go. Feel free to be a little adventurous, but every once in a while you're gonna hit a roadblock where you find something where it's not really translated well, you don't really understand what it is. Don't panic, and if you don't want to do that, you can of course go to another place that is a little bit more accommodating to foreigners for sure. The good news is that Thai people are typically pretty helpful and pretty friendly. So if you look lost or look confused or you don't understand the thing, normally the Thai people will try to point at things to try to help you out a little bit. Even if you travel anywhere in Southeast Asia, the old finger and point trick is always super beneficial. So never feel stupid speaking slowly, clearly, and pointing, even if they don't speak any English. And that's a good place for us to transition to food, which is my favorite subject. It's half the reason I travel anywhere in the world. The food in Bangkok is pretty legendary for a lot of different reasons. They have a lot of good local cuisine. It's a hub for Thailand in general. So of course you get a lot of people moving from all the regions of Thailand. So you can find Isan food, which is Eastern Thai food. You can find Northern Thai food from the Chiang Mai region, Chiang Rai region. You can find Muslim-inspired Thai food, which comes closer to the border with Malaysia. Bangkok's got it all. The cool thing about Bangkok too is if you're really into Thai food, they've got lots of stuff for you, but if you're also exhausted of eating Thai food from a long trip in Thailand, they have legendary burgers, pizza, Indian food, basically any sort of global cuisine that you want, and also stores and stuff if you want to buy things because you're missing things from where you're from. Bangkok has it because it's just like an international powerhouse global city. They have a really cool Arab street with lots of different Arab-inspired dishes, Yemeni, Iraqi, Syrian. They have Chinese food in Chinatown. They have Indian food. They have a little India with lots of Indian food. It's like if you are a big eater, Bangkok is like endless. There's so many choices, it's actually quite overwhelming. Also, if you're just tired and you want to order food, if you do download Grab, they also have like Grab Food, and you can pick various restaurants all over the city to deliver you stuff. On a trip to Bangkok, I'd always recommend hitting the major Thai dishes. You know, you got pad Thai, you've got pad see ew, which is another sort of thicker noodle dish. You've got the curries, green, yellow, red. You've got the soups, tom yum, which is like a coconut broth, spicy coconut broth soup, as well as tom kha gai. There's a million delicious things. Fried rice, it's all good. Street food in Thailand is pretty clean. In the past, I was much more worried about the quality of the street food. I certainly got sick in Thailand a couple times as I've been traveling through Thailand for about 9 years now. This last time I had no issues. I think the general cleanliness is getting better. The quality and preparation of the ingredients is also getting better. And I think the local authorities are like more on it. So I think food poisoning is a little bit less common and street food is more regulated. So I just think in general, the quality of the food is definitely better. My favorite things to do in Thailand is to sit on the street and eat some noodles in the sort of back alleys of Bangkok. It's great. Also, anything grilled meat related is super good. It's coming from the east, but it's all over Bangkok. Chicken, squid, like whatever your thing is, definitely get something grilled. Bangkok is super easy to get around for food, especially because they have really large, robust night markets where they just sell everything. So if you're a foodie, if you're not a foodie, Bangkok has everything that you could need. All right, so let's talk about things to do in Bangkok. And there is just a ton of different trips that you could possibly do. So here are some of my favorites. So on a trip to Bangkok, you got to do the cultural things for sure. You got to go to the Grand Palace, which is connected, of course, to the king. It's a royal palace, super ornate, very cool. You're going to go to Wat Po. You're probably going to go to Wat Arun. A Wat is a large temple with a stupa. They've got really, all over Bangkok, they've got incredible religious monuments, and some are really, really cool, some are really cool, some are pretty cool. It just depends on which one. I would say just walk into random ones because Wat Arun and Wat Po are very touristy now. You have a lot of people renting out traditional Thai clothing and taking photos, so it's gotten very Instagrammable. It's definitely still worth it. You can see big reclining Buddhas, you can see beautiful things made out of emerald or jade or stuff like that. It's just not what it once was, but still beautiful nonetheless. I always send people to Chatuchak Market, which is basically one of the biggest markets in the world. It's just endless stalls. They've got food, they've got knickknacks, they've got souvenirs, they've got clothing. It's whatever you want to buy, that's the market. It's thousands of stalls, I think over 10,000 stalls, massive. They've also got night markets all over the city. There's a couple good ones, it sort of depends. Around Chatuchak is a great place to also visit night markets. There's a market called Pat Pong Market in the center. It's okay. There's also one called the One Ratchada in the north. That's an okay night market too. There's just a ton. Just pick one that you like and go there. Check it out. Every city in Bangkok has a night market. It's a great place to eat dinner or have some snacks before going out to eat at a nicer place. Up to you. The third part about shopping is about visiting malls. And the malls are ramped up to 9 million. The experience in malls is crazy because it's so hot outside that people want to be inside, but they also have an aesthetic and style that they wanted to capture rather than it just being a basic mall with sort of big box shops. So you're going to find yourself in a million malls when you're in Thailand. The most notorious one, I think, is Icon Siam. I used to live right next to it. It's just like a behemoth of a building. I think it's the third or second biggest mall in the world. And the whole first floor is basically a night market itself. And then I think it's 9 stories of just consumerism. So it's, even if you don't want to buy a bunch of stuff, it's interesting just to see because it's so absurd on a million different levels. So check out Icon Siam, and then of course there's lots of cool malls in the city center that you can see. So when I'm talking about the city center, there's sort of 2 parts of Bangkok. There's the old city, where I wouldn't necessarily recommend staying. It's older, the buildings are lower, the transportation connection is not as good. It's got Khao San Road, which is the big backpacker area. It's more traditional in a lot of senses. The second part where a lot of people stay is called Sukhumvit Road. Sukhumvit is a big avenue that cuts through the center of sort of the newer part of Bangkok. A lot of foreigners live in this area. There's a lot of fancy hotels, nicer services, the whole 9 yards. I actually lived right on the river, which was a very nice and unique experience. You can see the river boats going, and I definitely recommend taking a riverboat or canal tour on your time in Bangkok. They also have these canal boats, these little boats that are actually taxis that you can take through the old city, the new city, so those are definitely worth it just to see how Thai people also get around their city. There's really so many experiences you can have. Bangkok is if you want to spend $1,000 on dinner, go to a Michelin star restaurant, and ball out on a rooftop with $20 margaritas, you can definitely do it. If you want to eat street food with the locals and spend $2 on dinner, you can do that, and you can do backpacker things, Western things, or you can just find yourself in a super Thai neighborhood where no one speaks English and nothing's written in English, and you can do that as well. I think Bangkok is really a city for everybody. If you like food, if you don't like food, if you like to party, if you don't like to party, if you like to shop, if you don't like to shop, You can literally do anything in Bangkok. It's the New York City thing. It's like it's built for everybody. There were two things that I did in Bangkok that were sort of outside of the normal tourist thing that I've personally done before, and they were really cool. So the first one is I saw a Muay Thai fight at Rajadamnern Stadium. It's one of the first, or maybe the first, Muay Thai arenas. They do a really good show. The fighting's good if you're into that. It's also, they kept it traditional while keeping it modern, which was also really nice. And then they did a presentation about basically like the history of Muay Thai. The whole thing, the whole production was just fantastic. I would definitely recommend it. The second thing I did that was sort of unique is I went to the Erawan Museum and to the Ancient City. So there was this sort of investor builder guy, and he wanted to make sure that Thai people had a place where they could appreciate Thai culture, because he saw that it wasn't being taught so well in school and it wasn't being sort of doubled down on by the government. And so he wanted to build a couple places that were really, really Thai. And so they built the Erawan Museum, which was basically a temple inside of a large elephant. Very unique, very cool, very beautiful, very specific. And then he built something called the Ancient City, which is basically a replication of all of the major monuments of Thailand, all in one sort of theme park that is shaped like Thailand. This guy really went for it. And what he built was actually pretty cool. You can rent a golf cart and you can drive around there and you can see all of this beautiful architecture, and it didn't feel too Disneylandish. They definitely went for an aesthetic that was more pleasant. You could also rent a bike and drive around. It's cool. If you want to see all of Thailand without leaving Bangkok, I think like that's a great place to do it. The last thing that I also really enjoyed about Bangkok is they have these massive parks in the middle of the city that are just like very cool. It's sort of like the Central Park vibe. The main one is Lumpini Park. You can go running, you can walk around. It's like it's sort of like the green lung of the city. And then next to it, there's this park called Benjakiti Park, which are actually connected by a skywalk, which is very cool. And Benjakiti Park is different because it's sort of like a natural zone that they built this huge skywalk in. So it's a little bit more like the swampy, old school, probably what Bangkok looked like before the massive investment into it. And it's like unkempt in a cool way. So I really enjoyed that. It's really cool because you see the whole skyline. It's perfect for a sunset. Both these parks are massive, and if you like to get outside without like going to nature, it's a nice one for sure. As far as day trips are concerned and you want to get outside of Bangkok a bit, Ayutthaya is the easiest one. It's about 45 minutes to an hour. You can actually just take a Grab if you want to. I think it cost maybe like $20 door to door. It's the old capital of an old kingdom of Thailand. They have really beautiful, like ancient stupas and wats and all this cool stuff, as well as palaces. It's a perfect place to spend the day. It's just very hot. Other than that, you can also go to the beaches around the Gulf of Thailand. Maybe Rayong is about 3 hours away. Pattaya City, which is I think a scummy city. But they have beaches and resorts, and you don't have to do the dirty stuff, but it's a pretty dirty place. It's like 2.5 hours away. You can go to the other side. Also about 2.5 hours away. So any day trip, if you even wanted to call it that, from Bangkok, kind of requires you to stay somewhere except Ayutthaya. But the cool thing that you can do going to Ayutthaya is to actually take the train, so you can see the countryside and everything, which I would also definitely recommend. Whew. All right, so that was a lot of information. I try to be as detailed as possible without overwhelming people. They seem to like these videos. If you do like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It definitely helps me out. It helps me to be able to make more videos like this. If you need help with a trip to Thailand for whatever reason, you can drop me an email. I'll get back to you for sure. Other than that, enjoy your trip, happy travels, and see you in the next one. Kap Kun Ka.